Virtus in Veritate, welcome to FortiKast, sharing good vibes and bring the Mariner community together every Friday, 5 p.m. In this episode, we ask, what is Dear Evan Hansen? Please welcome your hosts, Miggy de la Cruz, Anton Encarnacion, and Alfie Kaluwag. Alright,
Hello
good
again.
day,
Guys,
40 viewers!
what's up?
So,
Guess
I
who's
am
back?
actually very excited for this one. I always say I'm excited for every episode, but this one in particular. So, we guess we are going to be talking about a musical. So, with that, please comment down below what is your favorite musical. So, we will be reading those in a bit. But first, I want to ask you two guys, how was your week?
Well, I guess I can start. The week was for grade 12 in one word, PT. A lot of PTs, a lot of group works this week. So
Oh, just two words.
uh, it took a lot of adjustment from last year, especially. And then since we have a lot of group works now, more group works than last year, I think, it's training us to uh, work um, be
Work
time
hard.
efficient. Time we have to manage our time, as many of us learned this week. So yeah, that was how our week went.
All right. So, before I talk about how stressful my week was, how about you, Alfie?
I guess I'd also have to agree that this week has just been full of different projects that we had to finish and other stuff as well. Because of that, it kind of felt long. Like on Wednesday, I actually thought it was already Thursday, or when it was Tuesday, I thought it was Wednesday or something like that. So it just felt longer than usual. But it's finally the weekend, so not too complaining too much, I guess.
Okay, so for me, honestly, it was very stressful because, okay, before I say why it's stressful, I have to say this. I do not encourage this type of behavior. I am a notorious crammer. So before I say anything, I have to tell you this first. If there's one advice that you have to hear about senior high, this is probably going to be the single best advice for senior high that you will ever hear. Don't cram, or else you will suffer like I did this
I
morning.
can agree 100%. Oh my
You will
gosh.
suffer. I mean, I'm being a hypocrite here, but yes, you will suffer like I do. So yes, because
Yep, we all
yeah,
cram at
I'm a
some
notorious
point.
crammer, which in itself already has a lot of consequences. But in this week, we have group works, and because of that situation, I am no good. I am not so good with that because I feel like I am dragging my group mates down because, you know, if I wasn't the group leader, that would probably be all okay. They're just waiting on my input. But since I'm the group leader who's supposed to be putting everything together, then yeah. So anyway, enough about my stressful time. Let's look at some of these comments. So we have two comments over here from Inverse Zero. I think I know who that is. But hey, hello there, FortiKast. And only one person said what their favorite musical is. And Mamma Mia, I think I know why he is saying ha 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 because we had a conversation about this. But yeah.
Thank you. Would you
Anyway,
like to share
so
your favorite musical?
um Hamilton.
Oh, nice.
I mean,
That's fine. How about you, Anton? If I may ask as well.
Well, I think my favorite musical so far is The Phantom of the Opera. It's like we watched it during this lockdown because it was free for people to watch. Like they were streaming it for a few days. And then when I watched it, because my parents watched it uh, when it originally released, and then they said, "Oh, you have to watch this. It's really good." I was blown away. I was like, "Wow, no wonder this is like a legend in Broadway. It's amazing." So yeah, that's my favorite musical.
how about you, Afi?
I think so far my overall musical is Ang and Bimbo, but that's part of the reason is just because it's made in the Philippines, so there's a
Hmm,
partial national bias. But this, other than that, for
nothing's wrong
me,
with that.
the musical itself is really good with how
Hmm.
good the songs are, how they were able to make the Eraserhead soundtrack different, and the story itself, it's both fun but also very dark, and something that can show
Mhm.
light into what actually happens in some of the suburb areas of the Philippines. So that's part of the reason why I like it as well. It's dark, it's fun, etc. That's it.
So yeah, looks like a lot of people are also commenting their favorite musical finally. So yep, our guest for today also shared his La La Land. Haven't watched that yet. Planning to, of course. And my sister, of course, answered this. Les Miserables and Dear Evan Hansen. She actually in Rosedale, since our all girls school, she actually played Jean Valjean in Les Miserables. So and yeah, it looks like our guest for today also might be having some fans over here. So, hi, Cisco. And so, yeah, we are going to be reviewing Dear Evan Hansen. And to answer your question, Sugar, I do not think this will be spoiler free. So, spoiler warning in effect.
Be
And
prepared.
yeah, so before we actually talk about this musical, I want to ask you guys, what is your take on musicals? Like, what do you think of them? And I'm gonna ask you, Alfie, first, because I was going to suggest this episode, but then you beat me to it. So I would like to ask: would you say that you would in any way be a theater kid?
I think it became a phase in my life because when I was young, some of a old group of friends of mine recommended me listening to some of these songs, and then I really liked them. So the songs that I really into were like Hamilton, Dear Evan Hansen, Be More Chill, um, Heather's was one of my personal favorites back then, and but then, as I said, it was a phase, so it kind of died down. And then I started getting back into musicals when I watched mga, also Filipino musicals like Rock of Ages was one of them, and Eto Na Po Sila. Yeah, like I said, Ang Huling Libon. So yeah, I'm still into it up till now. How about you?
Yeah, Anton.
Well, for me, musicals like I have this. First of all, I have this weird habit when there's a new musical that came out. I always listen to the soundtrack first, even before I watch it. I'm like, oh, this sound is so good. And so when I finally watched the musical, like a few weeks later, I can sing along to the songs because I'm like, yes, this is my favorite song, especially Hamilton.
Nice.
Gosh, Hamilton. I memorized the songs, most of the songs for Hamilton, like, or when it was first released. And then I only got to watch the actual full Broadway last summer. So me
Same.
and my siblings, we were already screaming the lyrics because we knew it so well. And well, musicals for me, they're very different from movies. They give a different vibe because like you feel more connected with the musical. Like it has that realistic element. Like sometimes when they make mistakes, there's no editing involved. And then sometimes those mistakes they become like super creative because they have to find a way to save it. So it becomes like, oh wow, that wasn't originally part of the story, but now wow, that's really good. And I actually remember watching a musical in uh, Rose Hill because they
Oh
do their own
yes.
musicals. It's like when we were there to watch, we were like blown away. I know Miggy was there also, and
Yeah,
it was
because
like, wow, this
Three
production is
Sisters in
like,
there. Like
sheesh.
when I saw those musicals on the like, it's legit, you guys. Like they have this, they get this actual theater, like a big building. There's a big stage. There's food stands outside. They sell tickets. Like I was thinking, Northfield should be able to do this, like based on our speech choir stuff. Like I think that Northfield has what it takes. So I actually tried, attempted to initiate it by trying to start a drama club this year, like earlier this year. It wasn't approved, but worth a try. And I was trying to start one despite my total lack of experience. Like because I love musicals, but I don't think I can call myself a theater kid just because I don't think I have the qualifications. Like for one, I've never actually performed on theater. Like I think I would want to, but haven't yet. And also just like with um with a lot of other topics that we covered in FortiKast, I don't have enough exposure to that thing to consider myself part of the that type of community. Like the same way with gaming, I don't think I'm a gamer because I just don't have that many plays. I have many games that I play despite enjoying video games a lot. So yeah, but yeah, with my limited exposure, I think that it's limited to like Disney musicals, of course, like Disney movies, The Greatest Showman, Les Miserables, both the movie and the 25th anniversary version with Nick Jonas, and then there's Hamilton, of course, and Dear Evan Hansen, and also yeah, we as a family we cast it on our TV. We watched the Ang Huling El Bimbo, and it was intense. So yeah, but we're talking about Dear Evan Hansen, and my family. I love this play, and I remember like yes, as like just like Anton, I heard the soundtrack first, and I think this is what makes Dear Evan Hansen different from everyone else, all the other musicals, because musicals are usually like they feel very vibrant and energetic and happy and uplifting, and the Dear Evan Hansen soundtrack definitely sounds like that. Because that's the thing about musicals. That's what makes musicals great. Almost anything, if you add music into it, it just enriches that. And that's the case also with Dear Evan Hansen. But the Dear Evan Hansen, the songs sound so uplifting and happy, and in some cases, like Only Us, it sounds so sweet and romantic. But then when you put them into the context of the story, then all of a sudden you have that like sort of like, let's say this dark undertone, like that makes you feel all uncomfortable because you think, oh no, either the characters singing are in trouble already for what's happening here, or you sense that a lot of them may have some slightly selfish motives in what they're saying, despite how inspiring it is. So I think that's what really makes it work. That just that contrast between the tone of the song and the tone of the story. So yeah, as for the movie, honestly, I do not know which I like better. Is it the movie or the play? But before I start rambling on here, I think I've kept you long enough. I want you guys to meet our guests, so I think it's time to move on and move in focus.
I think there's some technical difficulties. This is in focus. Okay, let's just move on, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it won't
before we
play.
move on, before we move on, let's look at some of these comments. Like this comment made me laugh. Favorite musical is Les Miserables because it's just like me, miserable. Don't be miserable. Come on,
Oh my
come on,
god.
man, you got this. Also, haven't watched Hamilton yet, but I love their songs. I think that's pretty common, like obviously. And yeah, Lafayette's rap. I spent some
Yes.
time trying to figure that out.
Like in Guns and Ships, I think that's what he's talking about.
Go ahead, try. Go ahead, try it. So yeah, Guns and Ships. Also, Angelica's satisfied. Also, that's something also that's pretty fast. Anyway, so when I was thinking of a um musical related episode, I was trying to think of guests, and this guy is the one of the first to come to mind. Well, actually, it was my brother who suggested it, but when he said this guy, I'm like, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that? So I remember this guy when he during our talent show before. Oh, there he is. During a talent show before, he performed it so well. So without further ado, let me welcome from grade 11, Santino Galvez.
Hey.
Cue the hello.
Hi. Hi
Hello.
There we go.
there. Good
Welcome to
evening.
FortiKast. Good
It's a pleasure to
evening.
be
Oh,
here.
I like the shirt.
Right.
It looks a lot like Evan.
Oh yeah, right. Oh yeah. Did you do that on purpose? Like, I also wanted to wear blue for today because it's for the
Oh,
report cast and the Evan Hansen,
eh,
but
yeah. I thought I should give the blue a try, since it's Dear Evan Hansen. So, yeah.
okay. So before we get started, as per usual, how was your week? Answer that while I read your fans in the
Hold on. Let me
comments.
just check. Deadlines, deadlines, deadlines. Oh, and a sprinkling of deadlines. That's it.
Lucky for me, the
It's like
deadlines
a
are.
steak of deadlines seasoned with a steak of salt of deadlines. Gosh. So
Like
I guess
lucky for me.
a whole of senior high school can relate to the
Yes,
deadlines thing.
actually, our deadlines are next week, but we have to do them this week because it's a group. So, anyway, so yeah, I take it then that because you performed waving through a window that time when I mentioned it, and yeah, you're wearing the shirt right now. So I take it you really love this movie. So before we talk about this display or this movie, I don't know. We can ask that later. But before we move on to that, I would like to ask first on musicals in general. What do you think makes musicals different or even maybe better than all other types of movies or entertainment?
I don't know actually. There's like that certain like oomph factor, like the
Mm-hmm.
dramaticism, the way they speak. Like you only have one shot in a musical, so like just everything in general about it is what makes it itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's special in its own way, and that's amazing.
I remember someone telling me that the height of acting will always be in Broadway because, come on, look at, they're so expressive. They have to be seen from all the way there, but at the same time be subtle enough to make it good. So, props to them. So let's move on to actually talking about Dear Evan Hansen. Alfie, why don't you start our conversation?
Sure thing. So, Santi, if I may ask you, how do you like the original musical on its own? And how does the movie compare to said musical?
The funny thing is, I've actually never watched the original musical. The the only thing that I've
Oh,
watched related, only thing I've watched related to Dear Evan Hansen was the movie itself. The only reason why I
Mm.
sang "Waving Through a Window" in that talent show is because my mom introduced the song to me, the
Oh.
song itself to me
Oh.
first. But
ah, I see.
I so I really can't compare. However, I can say this: I really, really, really liked the movie. It was just like the music, the the way, the delivery, the meaning, the messages. It's everything else. Like all of it was great, and I would even watch it again after this. So yeah.
Santino, I would like to comment on the thing you're saying. Like, one, there was one time I heard that there was a difference between theater acting and movie acting. Because movie acting, you can zoom it in to whatever big screen you want. But Broadway is really, as Miggy said, it's just a live stage, and they have to be really expressive. So, uh, I also just watched the movie, and I feel like it has a different vibe. It's like Lion King, the movie and the Broadway. They're like really different. So they're all amazing in their own way.
All right. So
Nice.
actually, fudge, I forgot my question. Anyway, anyway, maybe we could move on. Anton, maybe you could continue our conversation.
All right. So, Santino, I would like to ask you, what do you think about the themes of the movie? I mean, of course, it talks about mental health and social media, but do you think did it they handled those themes well?
Uh, well, for me, I believe that the movie handled the themes pretty out well. It delves deeply into things like being an outcast, being different, loneliness, and especially the grief of losing someone very, very, very dear to you. I like the way that the movie portrayed them. It's relatable. Like, for example, like when Mrs. Murphy showed Evan the letter, like thinking that it was, um, y- like it was Connor's suicide letter. She was like denying the fact that Evan was saying that was already it was his personal letter to himself, and just I I can't imagine what these characters are going through, but I'm just lucky that I'm learning more about these strong new emotions.
So I
So,
wanna
okay, go.
sorry, Miggy. But I wanna add to that, like you mentioned when Miss Murphy was like um telling Evan that, oh, this is his suicide letter. This is his suicide letter. Because I feel like parents are not supposed to like experience that, like their child dying. That's like one of the worst experiences a parent can, you know, uh, experience in life. So I think at that point they were like, would you say that they were like holding on to every little bit that could be remembered?
Uh, I actually, yeah, I feel like, yeah, that they're holding on, like, to just like piece back every little memory so that they can, feel okay. But in reality, they aren't okay. Like, yeah, they're devastated, of course. Like, still, yeah.
Actually, on that note, I want to ask about, Zoe Murphy, because in her song, Requiem, she claims that she's not grieving. She claims that she doesn't feel bad about this, or something like that. Like she's basically saying that her brother was she called him a monster, if I'm correct.
She basically
So
hated him.
what do you think of that? Like, what was she going through instead? Like, I know the mom is really devastated, and the dad is definitely also feeling it. But Zoe, is she not feeling it, or do you think she's just in denial?
For me, I think she's in her own process of grieving. Like everyone goes through a different process of grieving. Like for Connor's mother, it could be devastation and all the other things a parent would feel. But with Zoe, it's a different case. She is she has her own coping mechanism that's feeling angry, like enraged by everything, like hating this. And I don't think she's used to the fact that her brother is gone. Like, yeah. Hmm.
So you said you haven't watched the original play, but you have heard the songs in the play, right? So was there any particular song that you were actually hoping would show up in the movie, but it didn't show up? Like, was there any song that felt like it was cut off from the play that they shouldn't
Uh,
have?
I've only listened to two songs so far, and that's For Forever and Waving Through Window. And both of them were already there. So, yeah.
Okay, okay. So, Alfie, did you want to say something?
Oh yeah. I just also wanted to continue on the part of just how do you say it? Sorry, of the dealing with son just dying. I personally I think that Zoe actually hated her brother because of in this song Requiem, it shows how the brother treated his sister, which was kind of in a way dark because of the different things that he does in real life. And but not about Zoe, but about the father as well. In the movie, actually, it's stated that he's the stepfather, when in the actual musical, that's his biological father. I feel,
Yeah, that
and
was
well, both of them. Yeah, sorry, continue.
yeah.
I was gonna say, and like both of them act the same way, but actually, like I felt like they just did that so that it'd be a much lighter tone
Mm-hmm.
because in the musical, the father didn't really like his son as well because of how
Mm.
he acted and such. And in the movie, he just said that the reason why he doesn't like his son is because he's the stepfather. So that's all I wanted to say.
Mm. So yeah, actually, just on that topic, the darker, lighter thing, that's actually something that they actually had to they wanted to lower the rating of the movie, and so a lot of things were somehow made more kid friendly. In the original play, actually, I'm pretty sure it was more than just implied that um Connor is addicted to substances, but in the movie they also made some allusions to that, but they didn't really put that all the way out there. So he like reason why Zoe hated her brother could in the play, which could possibly have to do with his addiction. But in the movie, it was also just how he mistreated her. Like, please, I want to go home, and all of a sudden, nope, he just wants money. So there's some implications, but the play was definitely more mature. So yes, Dear Evan Hansen is a pretty intense play, but I think here's a question that's quite lighter. It's a musical, so what do you think of the music? Because we all know it's great music. So what do you think makes it great? Is it how it sounds, or is it the lyrics, or is it maybe the performance of the actors, or possibly a mix of all three of these?
Well, in my opinion, I loved the music. Like loved it. Like Waving Through a Window was one of my favorite songs, as I said, alongside For Forever. The things that I loved about them were like the lyrics and like the sound as well. Like I'm a I'm a real sucker for powerful songs, and the sounds of these were just right up my alley. Like very catchy. Like now and yeah, now on to the lyrics in themselves. There was just that certain thing about them. Like they seemed so relatable. Relatable. Like in For Forever when in For Forever when Evan referenced him and Connor going getting ice cream at a la mode and stuff. The lyrics just screamed. It just screamed teenager just trying to find a place in this big world. Like I even teared up in one of the songs. Like one of the songs like So Big, So Small. I was watching that with my mom. I, and we were both tearing up by how emotional it was. Like lyrics just really spoke to us. Anyway, as I was saying, the music just really spoke to my whole family. I loved every single bit of it, and I would listen to it again and again and again on a repeatable basis.
Here's the thing, actually. I think my favorite song in Dear Evan Hansen would be For Forever. When I listened to it first, it actually made me think of my own best friend. Until, of course, I watched the play and I realized, oh, wait, that was not what that song was about. Okay, then.
It was a big lie.
Okay. But yeah, the thing about the musical, especially like the songs, they're very powerful. I remember seeing um Evan Hansen as listed as one of the hardest roles in musicals because of how powerful the songs are, both in just how they sound and the emotion behind them. So yeah, you're right on the money with that one. So, is there anything else you would like to say? Like, I know that the musicals are very enjoyable for many people, but a lot of people kind of have mixed feelings about them. Some maybe think that they're all ridiculous. So, or maybe they just don't think that they just don't, how do I say this? Um, and basta, any like final words you would want to say to everyone to maybe encourage them to just get into musicals a bit more.
Okay, well, for me, musicals are like a way of trying to, or the way of trying to speak your mind, but without actually like speaking it. Like you can relate to them. You can feel what they're feeling, but in a like different kind of way. And it's different, and each musical is different for everyone. There are like creepy musicals. There are upbeat musicals like this one. And yeah, I just wish I just well, it really depends on the person that watches these musicals, but I encourage people to watch more musicals because the messages in them are they're amazing.
Yes, the thing about the musicals, like the messages are really pack a punch in musicals because you package them in a song. The songs could just make things way more powerful in a short amount of time, and the musicals are usually 90% songs, and then like 10% just normal speaking. So anyway, we are about to move on to our 2 cents. However, stay put there, Santino. We will still have you there. So right now, I think it's time for us to give our 2 cents. All right, so here's the thing. Normally, we wouldn't have the guest in the 2 cents. However, we have this thing for for 40
Point of
reviews,
view.
40 reviews, where we actually keep you here because with 40 reviews, we can tell that the guests that we have would be passionate about whatever we're talking about. So we want you to be part of the conversation when we give our opinions. So I think I have quite a lot to say, so I'm gonna go last. I'm just gonna say that. So Anton, maybe you could go first.
All right. So I also want to comment on what Santina said earlier. Like, they speak their mind without actually speaking it. Like, when I first started watching musicals, like Disney musicals and stuff like that, I was really confused because they were like singing out loud, and these people were not like, "What? Oh, really? That's what you think about me?" Or like, it was weird to get used to at first. But then I realized as I grew older, but this is how they feel inside their head. Like in Dear Evan Hansen, he was literally belting those notes. He was like screaming those notes and waving through a window. But then like he also said, uh, nobody can hear. So like it's like an irony. Like he's screaming so loud. He's screaming these lyrics, this song so loud for that you would think everyone would hear, but it's all in his mind. So that it's really cool like how they incorporate these kinds of things. And I also want to say like a lot of people when they enter high school, they like to be perfect immediately. Like they think that, oh, I have to be perfect for people to like me. I have to be perfect to fit in. I have to be perfect. And that pressure is like very very like it's too much for a teenager to think about. So what I think teenagers should do is they should accept who they are, accept that not all people are gonna like you. Like in marketing, you can't sell your product to every person, so don't try to please everyone, or else you're just gonna lose yourself along the way. So just my advice is like be yourself, and then if you want to develop something, for example, people make fun of you for being thin. Like if you really want to be if you really want to be better, you should like you should use those that taunting for motivation. Like, okay, these people think I'm thin. Well, I'm gonna use that as motivation instead of saying, "Oh, I can't do this. I'm thin forever. I give up." I feel like you should use that as motivation to be comfortable in yourself. And when you grow muscles, you're gonna be like, "I did it." Like, see, yeah, you're probably more muscular than the person who was teasing you before. So, you know, just use that as fuel, as motivation, and don't try to think of everything in a positive way because, high school is high school. Don't take it too seriously. Come on, these are the most important years in your life. You won't ever get them back. You can worry about those stuff when you're like 80, 70, but right now, just enjoy while you still have the strength and the body to do it.
Uh, Anton, are you sure that wasn't your wow already? Just kidding. So yeah, that's the thing about musicals, you know.
Well,
Like
I have,
most people think. Wait, sorry.
I just watched the film recently, but it's like, as Santina said, it really speaks to teenagers. Like, I was like, wow, this thing is like
Yeah, that's the
different
thing.
from the usual teenage films that you see on TV. So yeah, I got very passionate about it.
Yeah, that's the thing about musicals. You know, some people think might be something. People think that it's kind of weird that you're just saying out loud out there, but then weirdly, musicals are a lot very relatable. Just even if you don't just randomly sing out of nowhere in the middle of the street while you're just walking, they're relatable because the things that would usually just be reserved for like inner dialogue or stuff, you could finally let out all those things without it being unrealistic in the context of the movie, because in a musical, the character could be belting about his feelings and no one would notice, and so the story goes on without the character revealing any of their secrets. So all the feelings, all the emotions are out there, and for you to be able to relate to without disrupting the story. So yeah, musicals. Now I'm learning what makes musicals great. Anyway, again, I'm going last. So Alfie.
I also want to continue on the what Santi said about the musical, and where like a lot of people could relate to the song because of how did some of the different songs that people could feel. It's just something that hits their hearts because it's something that they experience as well. I think Waving Through a Window is the most relatable out of them all, because like in the first few lyrics, like I learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key. That's like that's already like representing self-doubt in yourself, that you really can't do anything. And I'm Waving Through windows more of like saying that you can't um like you're using on your phone when you want to talk to people, but you don't know how, so you just really use your phone. And then I think one of my favorite lines were like, um if I'm falling through the forest and there's nobody around, will there ever make a crash or really make a sound? Which I think is something we've all noticed or experienced at one point in our lives, where it feels like the world doesn't really care about us, and if is it something, and it doesn't matter if we continue to do something. But well, yes, that's something we experience, and yes, no matter what, even if there's nobody there, there's always going to be someone who's going to listen to you or care for you. And yeah, that goes on to the last part of the movie where um it's revealed that Evan thinks that his mom doesn't care for him. He thinks that he's a burden, and the mother is just saying, "No, of course not." Despite how she acts, despite how she cares, and in the end, the mother still loves him no matter what he does or what he says, etc. All his mistakes, and that's something that everyone has gone through. You think that this one person hates you, but we really don't know what's in their head to think so. And that's about it. Is there anything you want to say, Santi, since you've been quiet most of the time?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just yeah. So going on from what Alfie said, yeah, I that was the part. That is the exact part where I teared up the most. Like me and my mom have a really, very, really close relationship. Just seeing that relationship with Evan and his mom, it just me happy that there are also a lot, like a lot of a relationship like that. Like it just feels so personal to me, and I just love the way they executed it. Yeah,
All right. So if
that's
you like that
all I
moment,
want to say.
it's if you like that moment, the play is somewhat more intense because that moment has a song in it. So I actually want to compare the play with the movie. So if anyone wants to disagree with me with whatever I'm gonna say, whether that be Santi or anyone in the comments, or any of you two guys, feel free to just interrupt me. So here we go. I have quite a lot to say. I was actually thinking of preparing a notepad for this, but never mind. Anyway, so as I've said in the introduction, I do not know which I like better, the play or the movie. It's very close for me, but that's pretty weird because the movie wasn't very accurate to the play. Like there's a lot of things that they cut off or that they changed, but a lot of and many of the things that I noticed that are different. It feels like the movie is trying to fix some of the play's, for lack of a better word, problems. Like let me give some examples. So the first thing is Ghost Connor. Like in the play, Ghost Connor is such a big deal. It's like a big character in himself. He shows up all throughout the play, acts some sort of conscience to Evan, and even like gives one of the most meaningful songs in the play. But the problem with Ghost Connor is that he's not real. He's an imaginary figure based on a real character who just killed himself. And from what we've heard, may not be that big of it may not be that great of a person. So all of a sudden, Connor just it feels like he's becoming more and more like a dark version of Evan that he's imagining, that he's projecting into this dead kid. But then, as I've said, the real Connor, the audience don't get to spend a lot of time with real Connor, but with imaginary Connor, he's there all the time. So it feels like they're trying to make, with Ghost Connor is trying to make real Connor a better person than he actually was. Like he's the one who gives the message. No one deserves to be forgotten. No one deserves to disappear. Sorry if my voice is bad, but whatever. So yeah, he's the one who says that, and it's a great song. It's a great message, but coming from the imaginary version of a jerk who just died, kind of feels a little icky. So the movie, remove that. We don't see Ghost Connor. We only see him like in Sincerely Me and once in For Forever, but the rest he doesn't show up. He doesn't talk to Evan ever. So I feel like this might be an issue for some of the fans of the original play, but I think this was one of those tough calls that they had to make because what they gave us instead of Ghost Connor was more of real Connor. In the end of the movie, Evan confesses to the internet that he lied. That's already a change. That wasn't in the original. Aside from that, he goes and grabs an old yearbook with Connor in it, of um looks at the list of favorite books of Connor, and what they call this, he starts reading all of those, trying to know more about this kid. And then he tries to look up who could might have possibly known Connor. So I could talk to them and get to know him better. And then he's rewarded with a flash drive with real Connor performing a song that he wrote about how getting better just feels a little bit closer each and every day. Like that to me is kind of more powerful than Ghost Connor because it's real Connor showing that he was on the path of improving. Just makes his death just that more tragic. And another thing that I think the movie kind of changed a bit. Remember when I said in the introduction that the songs have this dark undertone to them, like they feel happy but they have this dark undertone to them. I think when it okay, sorry, rewind. The thing is when they announced the movie, my first thought was do something with the relationship of Zoe and Evan. Like in the play, they break up and that was it. And the part of me was like, no. So I was like hoping that the movie might get them back together. The movie didn't. What they did instead was show us just why they shouldn't, you know. So as I've said, the songs have this dark undertone to them, and the movies, when it comes to the love songs, the movie when it comes to love songs, double down on that. Like you remember, if I could tell her, that was a sweet song about Evan, sort of but not quite, confessing his crush to Zoe. And then in the movie, they give a montage of him just flashing back, staring at Zoe, telling her, "I love you." That was bad. Sorry. I should stop. So yeah, he's singing to her without her hearing, and it almost sounds like you realize, is this love or is this almost creepy? Like I don't know, maybe it's just the prosthetics on Ben Platt's face, but it almost feels like a crush that has gone wrong, and you could tell where that relationship was doomed from the start, especially yes, just like Santino's saying right now, it's a little stalker-ish. So um when it goes to Only Us, the main love song of the whole thing, um at first again it's very sweet until you realize the lyrics of the song is basically, yeah, can we not think about my dead brother or any of all those other important stuff and just focus on us right now? Like the rest of the world would fade away, it will only be us. And you realize by the end of the song in the movie, they're showing that Evan is forgetting what got them together in the first place. He's missing those um awareness programs that he and Alana started on trying to spread awareness on mental health. He became almost selfish because he already got what he wants. So it just shows that the relationship, since it was built on a lie, was doomed from the start. So in the end, I wasn't too disappointed when the main couple broke up. In the play, I was like, but in the movie, I understand. And on the flip side of that, let's go with a little more positive song. Um, what's it called? You Will Be Found. I'm not gonna try to sing it anymore. So You Will Be Found. Um, Again, it's a very uplifting song. It's very happy. But in the context of the play, when I was watching that, and even just hearing the song and watching the animatic in YouTube, I was like, "Oh no, Evan, what have you done? What have you done? Like you have spread this lie so far and wide. You are in this deep right now. You're in deep trouble." So the movie doesn't try to hide any of that, you know. But what the movie did was try to highlight also, hey, Evan may have lied, and you may not agree with what he has done, but you cannot deny it had a huge impact on a lot of people. The play did that, but I think the movie did it just slightly better by showing the people impacted. There, my favorite bit was this one kid who this line was in both the play and the movie, where he says, "I know someone who really needed to hear this today, so thank you, Evan Hansen." What the movie did different was show the guy who's saying it, and the guy was in tears. And even more, the guy was one of the people that you see earlier bullying Connor. So I think that was just makes it a little more impactful, like how great, like just the positive impact of Evan's actions, no matter how bad they were, you can't deny that they did help in some people. Again, interrupt me and disagree with me if you want in the comments. Comment down below why you think I'm wrong. Okay, and then finally here, we all know Ben Platt Evan is the highlight of this show, right? He's the big star, and of course he's phenomenal. But who's the one that stole the show for me was Alana. Because in the play, honestly, she's the most annoying one in the play. She's the least likable. She's so fake. She's like, "Hi, I knew Connor so well. We were such great acquaintances." She feels like she's taking advantage of the situation, and I just couldn't stand her, you know. And when she finally publishes the supposed suicide note, I was like, "Why would you do that?" But so when the movie was announced, one of the things I thought was, "Oh no, I have to deal with Alana again." On the bright side, at least she's being played by Rue from Hunger Games. I was pleasantly surprised. She became possibly my favorite character in the movie because she was still fake in her smile, but her smile was less um manipulative and more I'm struggling to even put on a smile right now. She felt more real. She felt more human because especially since I think what the biggest change here is they gave Alana mental issues just like Evan. And in some cases that might seem a little cheap, like, oh, how do you make a character more complex? Give them mental issues. But I don't think that's the case in here. Because if you think of our main representatives of mental health issues, Evan and Connor, both of them have something in common. Both of them are pretty shy, quiet, they're isolated from society. In a word, they're introverts. And introverts are pretty much the stereotype for people with mental illness, you know, or mental conditions or mental problems. What Alana did by because Alana's always on the spotlight, what Alana did was show that extroverts, people who are on the spotlight all the time, could suffer from this too. So it just gave me that little it just had that little balance. I feel like I have representation on screen since I'm a very extroverted person. As you can tell, I'm always in the show every week, shouting like this. And so yeah, she was the highlight. That scene where where you repeat waving through a window, but it's in her perspective, and she sing anonymous ones. A new song I was added. That was good for me. I think the only critique I have possibly is they removed the mom's songs. The mom in the original play had like 3 songs as far as I remember. Anybody have a map? Good for you, and the so small, so big. They only kept the last. But I really wish they kept Good For You. Because not only did it have, that was the most intense moment in the play for me. Not only did it have more characterization for the mom, it also had more characterization for Alana, and it had more characterization for Jared. Jared, the main comic relief in the original play, was put in the background. Like, I don't even know why he's in the movie anymore. Like, I forgot he even existed in the movie. But so yeah, just putting that song may have given him some characterization, but it turns out the actor doesn't really sing. So I guess that's one reason why they removed the song. So yeah, and also I know people love Ben Platt, and obviously that's the person they would want to see in the movie, but yeah, he's kind of too old for the role. I think what could have made it a little bit better. I mean, of course, he was still phenomenal in the movie, but what could have made it a little bit better is that they got someone else instead, like another Evan, maybe like Andrew Feldman, since he was pretty much the right age when he played Evan in the stage. So yeah, no need for whatever they did to his face. So yeah, that's me. Rant over. It's not even a rant. I'm not even criticizing anything. So yeah, that's me. So Santino, any comment or last words or anything before we finally say goodbye?
Uh, Nothing much. Just I agree with some of your points. Yes, Alana is also one of my favorite characters, and also yes, they should have. It's best. It was probably one of a better decision to cast the younger Evan Hansen rather than Ben Platt because he's a little bit too old for this role. Like an adult playing a high school student. Well, it's not exactly a new thing that's happened on Hollywood, but could have happened here.
All right. So thank you so much. Would you like to say goodbye to our audience?
Sure. Um, Thank you for having me, FortiKast, and I enjoyed the entire experience. I loved it. It was a very very nice debut of me here. So yeah,
Well, thank you
Debut.
so
thank
So
much
you're
for
you.
coming
joining
back.
us.
Debut. You're coming back. Would you consider joining next
Oh.
year? Next year, maybe. Please.
If you ask,
Thank you,
if you
Santina.
maybe if you ask me, I'll think about it.
No
Okay, sige.
pressure,
We'll
though.
keep
No
that in
pressure.
mind. We'll keep that in
We'll
mind.
see.
Okay. Well, okay,
But
sige.
thank
But
you so much,
Oh,
we'll see.
Santina.
thank
Thank
you
you for
so much,
guesting
Santino.
today.
And all right, sige. So thank you. Please join us in thanking our guest for today. Thank you so much, and have a safe weekend as we move on to our wow.
Hello again.
Right? Go ahead. Take away.
All right. So this week's wow um are like three, four, five main things that I really connected with in the play, in the movie, sorry. Well, first is sometimes the solution for people like Connor. People like Connor, people who are suffering with mental illness or possibly depression. Maybe it's not a miracle yoga program or some herbal tea from the Himalayan mountains or something that, because the mom kept trying so much of these instant solutions that she forgot that the real solution to these problems, the best gift that any parent can give their child when they're experiencing this, is their time. Like the mother and father started to lose that. They were searching for these miracles, but all they needed to give was a little time to their child. And I also want to say this: not all people who seem okay are depressed. Like Alana, like some people who are like seem okay are actually okay. So and some people who don't seem okay are also okay. So I just want to say that not every teenager in this day and age is depressed. So it's all right. But if you are struggling with these issues, don't worry. As the movie said, you're not alone. And then um I also want to say that a lot of parents don't know that their child is hurting, uh, which is why time is the most important thing you can give to them. Like in the movie, um, I think they mentioned that Connor was a good student when he was small. Like Zoe was even saying he was a great brother when he was small. And then when he grew older, he just distanced himself away. So I think this is because, like, especially in the Western culture, people tend to be independent, or like they try to enforce that independent mindset. But sometimes this destroys people because, like, let's say riding a bike. The child is riding the bike and the adult is helping them. So the first few minutes of riding the bike, or the first few seconds of riding the bike, they're holding them, right? And you're okay. You feel okay because your parent is behind you. You can do anything in the world. You feel empowered. But then in the Western culture, they tend to let go too early. And then the children just fall off the bike because they're not ready. And then the parent gets busy with like work or other duties that they have. In the movie, the main distraction to the from the children is work. Like Evan's mom was busy with as a nurse, and then the mother and father were busy getting rich. The mother and father of the Murphys. So they just distanced themselves. They stopped moving with the child, and now the child is just getting farther and farther. He keeps falling and falling off the bike, and whenever he looks back, his parents are just so far away at that point. And then they learn how to ride the bike on their own, but when they learn that, the scars are already there. So, and then when they look back, the parents are still caught up in their own world, and then at that point they don't trust their parents anymore. So yeah, because of this, a lot of parents also don't know the things about their child. Like, oh, they think, oh, Connor was such a good boy when he was probably doing all these bad actions. All these he went on into all these bad habits because he wanted the attention of his parents. Because children just want their parents' time. They don't want they don't want to become rich. They want the time of their parents or their siblings. And then sometimes children also don't realize what they have. Like Zoe, she was saying in the movie that like being rich is just so like okay, it's just being rich. But then because she wanted the time of the parents, but she didn't realize that they were living a life of comfort, of possible happiness if they tried. And Evan didn't realize that he had a mom that loved him so much that she would sacrifice until the ends of the earth just to be with him. So just want to end with this quote from Evan at the end of the movie. He said, "No matter how hard it gets, just hold on and keep going because there's not just a light at the end of the tunnel. There's gonna be, you know, improvement at the end of the tunnel. And when you look back into the depths of the tunnel, you're gonna see how far you came. Even with all those times where you felt like you weren't moving forward, you felt like you were only making a little progress, those moments mattered because you stayed consistent." So that's all for my words of wisdom. I really like this movie, and as you can tell, I'm really passionate about it. Even after like just a few hours after watching it, or a few days after watching it. So thank you, Miggy, Alfie, and the rest of the FortiKast crew for telling me to watch this for this episode. It was an amazing experience. Thank you.
All right, and thank you for that. Wow, Anton. And with that, I think it is finally time for us to say goodbye. Virtus in veritate, there is strength in virtue. This has been the FortiCast online show, sharing good vibes and bringing the Mariner community together once again. Next week, it might be a historical episode with the return of a FortiCast legend. Stay
Emphasis on
tuned for
might.
that.
All
Sorry,
Sorry.
right,
continue.
so
That's nothing. Continue.
I
Stay
just want
tuned
to
for
shout
that.
out my sister and her friends, Rian, Patty, Jeannie, and Hannah. If you guys are watching, hi. Thanks for watching the show and being supporters. All right. So
All
that
right. So,
wraps up the video. And another request for a shout out to the Navy SEALs. Thank you for Santino for guesting in the podcast. We are delighted to have you. Hopefully, more of you guys will join the show in the future. Who knows? Let's see. So, Mickey, take it away.
yeah, with that, stay safe. God bless. Fortuna Favit Fortibus. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.